Alright, I am Vanguard here with the tournament report slash deck profile of Bavsargra. That's what I played. I actually ended up making top 2, and me and my buddy, me and a player were getting this playmat for someone else. So we were like, hey, let me get the mat. You can take the store credit because it's gonna go to the same person. So we're like, let's split it. So I'm gonna put it as a top 2 Bavsargra deck. I will start with the deck profile. For the ride line, you run the Bavsargra rod line from the deck. This Soul Blast searches for the arms card. This Counter Blast searches when you ride Bavsargra, you search for 2 arms card, put them in this card, and attach an arms. And continuing with the lineup here, for the grade 3s, you run more copies of Bavsargra. This was a questionable choice because that I was borrowing a friend's deck. Um, he was playing Angel Ladder for the mirror matches, but it seems like the Fire Regalis was a better choice. So most likely he do want to change it with the Fire Regalis. So that could be a Fire Regalis or an Angel Ladder depending on how the meta is. You run 3 of the swords. It is a triple. It gives you an extra drive if your opponent's at grade 3. So fantastic card, and it gives a +5 to the front row. So it's adding more pressure and more power to the front row. You run 1 of each. One of the axe, one of the mace. Mace has the ability to retire. Axe has the ability where the opponent has to guard with 2 or more. You're running 1 of the shield because it is searchable when you first ride. So I've seen other builds running more than 1, but I think 1 was actually good with the playing I got today. Grade 2 lineup, you run 4 of the Restander. Restander is fantastic because you can also discard an arms card with Energy Blast 3, draw cards, some more cards, and getting rid of the arms card in your hand. And this card was also great too because that if you happen to not have any rear guards, which in the mirror match it did happen often, this is a card that you can get from the drop with Energy Blast 3 when you arm a card. Also, it does have the ability where you place it from hand, it look at top 5 and lets you get an overdress or an arm card to your hand, so and discards it. So it filters out your cards, which is really good. And then two of these, which is really good for searching out and adding cards or filtering the cards out. My friend that lent me the deck, he's only running 2, which I think this card out of 2 is actually not bad, but it does get another 10k if you are behind. So I would have to personally play the deck a bit more to play around with builds, but I think this was pretty ideal from my perspective. His ability, Soul Blast, and look at top 7 for any overdress, overboost, or arms. Put 1 to hand, put 1 to drop was the ability. So it is pretty good early game, but I would suggest maybe changing the lineup a little bit. But the space seems really tight in the deck, so that I think this is a very ideal lineup. All right, going on to the grade 1s and 0s. For Cindy's a very good card in this deck. The Trick Moons, right? Because it is a Trick Moon deck. You run he runs 3 Veilords. I actually think 3 Veilords is actually really reasonable, because most of the time when I had Veilords, I would only maybe play 1, max 2, but I preferred not to play the second one if possible because the Trick Moons actually get 20k. So I actually preferred the Trick Moons to be boosting versus the Veilord if possible. So I think it depends on how people like it, but I do personally think the Veilord at 3 was a reasonable choice as well. If I can pick a OT that the Drag Veda OT would be best fit in, I would say Bavsargra is the best one that it can fit in, and Shiranui as well. But yeah, 1 Drag Veda, 3 of the fronts, crits, and then heals. So it's pretty standard on the trigger lineup, but the Drag Veda on Bavsargra is absolutely amazing. And I do think that it is a really good card in this deck, and they might have to consider choice restricting this card with Bavsargra is what I think. But the lineup is pretty solid. All right, going on to the tournament report. Round 1, I had a bye. Game 2, Artisteria, my friend basically gave me the win because that we were both aiming to get the playmat, and he was playing Artisteria. I think if the match continued, I would say, depending on who rolls what, also mattered, but also the player that let me win is actually a really good player, so I think I would have actually lost depending on how the matchup went, but he gave me the win, so I won the second game. Third game, I played against Bavsargra. My opponent went first, and I actually was able to luckily win that game as well. I basically had to change the way I attacked because I went second. I pushed my opponent to 3, and instead of equipping the shield, I equipped the axe, and then I swung with the Vanguard with Trick Moon behind. So my opponent had to guard it really hard and use the shield ability as well. And my opponent had 5 or 6 cards, and they were not very good for guarding the other rears. I was able to hit the double crit, stack it on one card, and swing. And my opponent was forced to take the 3 damage that was hit by Bavsargra. So I was able to win that matchup because of the way I used the axe and abused the triggers. But I would say I definitely had a little lucky trigger on that case. And then fourth game, I lost the Bavsargra matchup. My opponent ended up hitting Greg Veda on defense, and offensively, I think he was hitting grade 1 crit, and then I think I was pushed really hard because he had the cards to rush me, and I did not hit a single defensive on the way. So it was a pretty difficult matchup, and I basically had to lose that game. And then I went into top cut. I played against my the dog deck that I lent my other friend to play. I actually got sacked, but he also let me win the matchup because he did like hit his OT, and continuously just I bricked really hard with this deck. And the top 2 we split it, and it was the Artisteria player that let me win in the beginning. So just wanted an honest opinion on the tournament. That's basically, we were all aiming to get one of my friends the playmat. So we were all in it together, and we got the mat. But this deck itself, it is pretty fantastic. I would say that it does have a lot of issues, even though being it the best deck in the format. I would say if I have to pick a problem, it's very weak to decks that can rush. And it's very piece reliant, and I think that decks that are piece reliant always has problems against decks that rush or just hit triggers unexpectedly. Can't really do much with this deck. But make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Hopefully you guys like the deck profile and the tournament report I had for this deck. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I got the playmat.